patience because I made it. I'm on a whole new dimension. These miracles on top of blessings. Tell your followers to mention. Let me breathe. I'ma count 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna lose no sleep. I'm on a whole new vibration. Not losing my patience because I got my peace. Can't nobody take from me. Therapy. Another switched up on you. The pain you thought you never get through. People change, seasons change. The levels raining all on you. It gets better from here. It gets better from here. Favor looking good on me. No pressure, it's time to seek. Therapy. Oh, it's okay to have therapy. Let me breathe. I'ma count 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna lose no sleep. Vibration. Not losing my patience because I got my peace. Can't nobody take from me. Therapy.
What's going on? And hello, good evening, and welcome to a special edition to the Check-In, the show where we talk about all things mental health from a male's perspective. I am your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and thank you so much for tuning in to Trailblazer Radio as a whole. We thank you guys so very much for being here. If you guys could have chosen anywhere else to be on a Thursday night, but you guys are right here with us, and we most definitely appreciate that. Most definitely want to give a big shout out to Latanya Harris Gooden. Last night's show was a great show last night with her and Mr. Andrew Griffin, talking about confidence, and how confidence relates to us as a whole, and how we can obtain that type of confidence and maintain that confidence. So big shout out to LHG and her show last night. Again, with her and Andrew Griffin, is always going to be a great show, and it was a great show last night. So big shout out to LHG and Mr. Andrew Griffin. I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for tuning in tonight, because this show is going to be a little different, but it's also going to be something that is going to be, I think, very very honest and very and very noteworthy. So without excuse me, with all that being said, let's just kind of just get into the premise of this. A long while back, me and LSG did we did like a almost a 3-hour podcast talking about the love letter to oneself, as it pertained to how writing a love letter to yourself, how that love letter should be written, and what the context is of that love letter. I'm most definitely going to get with LSG, and we did a love letter for men. We're going to most definitely, me and LSG are going to get together and do a love letter for women, because I think it is very important that a love letter to oneself from a woman's point of view. So I most definitely want to jump into having a love letter from a woman, or a love letter written to herself from a woman's point of view. But so we did that a long time ago, and we talked about the importance of writing, importance of that letter. But we all, but that was just on an individual basis. So what I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight, and I don't plan to be here before you guys very long. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is going to be a love letter to my brothers as a whole. This is going to be something that is going to be. I'm going to try to break it down in as much as I can. This this will probably be this could possibly end up being a part two, or it could be something that we can go on to deeper depths with. But the basis of this and the basis of this stems from a short story that I wrote in my most recent release, Avenues, the Traveling Soul. And it was a love letter to my brothers. It was a love letter to my brothers, not just my brothers that are related to me by by blood or by blood. It's also my brothers that are outside of my blood relation, which is the gentleman that I call my brothers. And even though and those men who I don't who I those men who I'm not related to or who I'm not connected with, I still consider you my brother. And it's and I feel that this time it's important to talk about it, and important to the very least put it out there and talk about it and explain the reasoning as to why these letters are important. Why these letters are important, why these letters are needed, why these letters are not just wanted and needed, but important, but also why they have to exist. So I'm gonna just start out. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna read the love letter that I wrote to my I'm gonna read the love letter that I wrote to my brothers, and that's out of my book. But I'm also gonna break this down. I'm also gonna break this down a little bit. The love letter to my brothers. My brothers. Hey, what's up? How are you? I hope this letter finds you in good health and spirits. I notice that we, our brothers, are under attack now more than ever, and it saddens me to see my brothers hurt, despondent, sad, and overall not well. These times have been rough on us. We've taken and endured a lot. We've also sacrificed a lot as well. Please overstand that I'm not here to bring any of that to your remembrance. I'm writing this to simply encourage, help, and push you forward into your next place and or stage in life. So please, my brother, I want you to listen very carefully to the words I'm about to say and take them with an open heart and mind. Now, I want to preface this by saying that what I've written is something that I also think on and think about. So this just wasn't written for my brothers. It was also a letter to me as well. So first and foremost, please stop thinking so little of yourself. You, my brother, are an amazing man with amazing qualities. You're a kind, thoughtful, caring person who will give everything of yourself to make sure that others have it. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. What makes it wrong is when people take advantage of your kindness to manipulate, use, and hurt you. That is something we as men we have to be very keen of. We're very cognizant of the energy that we take in, because there are people, men and women alike, who wish to expel your energy and replace it with their own. And that is not good. Do me a solid. Come into the knowledge of yourself. Come into the knowledge of your energy and its signature. Negative thoughts and actions, including the actions of others, reinforces and promotes toxic energy and emotions. Be aware of people and situations that make the attempts to drain your energy. Above all, protect it at all cost. So the first part of that pretty much talks about us as people, us as men thinking very little of ourselves, because we live in a world to where we're beaten down, where we're beaten down emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And sometimes we do think very little of ourselves, because because of the thing because of our thoughtfulness, because of our kindness, because of our caring for the people that are within our circle or within our orbit. And we are those brothers that will give everything of ourselves to make sure that others have it. And like I said before, there's nothing wrong with that. What does make it wrong, again, like I said, is when people take advantage of that kindness to manipulate, to use and hurt us, you know. And that's something we have to be very, very acutely aware of. Um, as well as the type of energy that we take in from other people, because that is because taking in that energy from other people can some we use sometimes we take in the positive energy, but we're also taking the toxic and negative energy too. And that can eventually, in most cases, bring us down, make us feel like we're less than anything, because we've taken in so much of that positive energy, we've taken in so much of that energy, and we haven't had a chance to expel any of that, or let go of that, or release it. And I do believe that we as men do need to be familiar with our own energy, and also need to be aware of our own energy signature that we put out here, that we put out into the world. We have to be aware of that, because once we're aware of our energy and its individual and personal signature, I think we're able to more accurately detect other types of energies in our midst. Um, just like people will tell a woman to protect her energy at all costs. We have the same obligation to do this. We have an obligation to do the same thing, to protect our energy at all costs, because what good does it do for us to come into those circles of people who want who decide they want to take the energy that we have, or to want to um put their negative thoughts and their negative thoughts or their negative energy into us? What good does that do? What good does that make? What purpose does that serve? What purpose would it serve if we were to put our energy out there, or not say put our energy out there, but to accept negative energy from someone, and allow that person's negative energy to dispel our energy, expel our energy, or better yet, replace our energy. It means, for me, for me, being peaceful, trying to have peace and be peaceful, is something that I try to strive towards every day. It's not something that I can always do. However, I try. I try. I do try. That is met with you know with equal with equal this met with equal things of equal. I'm trying to find the word to say, um with equal occurrences of success and failure. Sometimes I'm more successful than I most sometimes I'm more successful than I fail, and sometimes I fail more than I succeed. But that's to be um, that's to be understood. But I do want us as men to, especially black men, especially us as black men, to understand what our energy is, and what that energy signature is, and what it means. And also, I want us to be able to proactive in protecting our energy, because again, this world is a world that that batters us, that bruises us, that beats us down in so many ways. And in most cases, in in the battering and the bruising and the beat down, we're expending energy by defending ourselves, by putting up barriers, or encircling ourselves to protect protect ourselves, protect our emotional, protect our spiritual, to protect our mental, and sometimes to protect our physical. So, brothers, I want you guys to be aware of that. But again, I also want you to I want you guys to not think so little of yourself and put positive thoughts of yourself and put positive thoughts in yourself out in the atmosphere. Now, again, I'm not just speaking to my brothers, I'm also speaking for me as well, because I have that issue sometimes of not putting enough positive thoughts of what I do and my accomplishments or things of that. I don't put those positive thoughts into the atmosphere either. I don't put those positive thoughts of myself into the atmosphere because, again, when we as people or men have been exposed to traumatic experiences, we tend to turtle up and not talk about those experiences, not talk about those things. And sometimes we look for the negative in something before we even notice the positive in something. And sometimes that is a deterrent as well. So the short version of this is don't think so little of yourself. Recognize your energy signature and protect your energy at all cost, because all those things mean a lot, and they do. The next part of the letter is this. Next, forgive yourself, brother. Even though you have hurt people, you have hurt yourself as well. You've also been through a lot. And that trauma is something that will follow you everywhere you go, and it will affect the interpersonal relationships you engage in. Listen, it's high time that you let that shit go, bruh. Yes, you've hurt people, and people have definitely hurt you. But now it's time to turn those hurtful situations into hard-earned and won lessons. You've asked people to forgive you of your transgressions, and that's been met with varying degrees of acceptance and non-acceptance, which is cool, because forgiveness is not for the transgressors, it's for the transgressed. Ask yourself, honestly, have you really forgiven yourself for the things that has happened to you? The things that you have done, not only to yourself, but to other people? We as men compartmentalize a lot, and sometimes that puts us in that silent sufferer state, and that is never good. If I could offer a word of advice, accept those things that have happened to you, good, bad, and indifferent. Forgive yourself and let it go. Once you forgive yourself, you're no longer bound or tethered to that hurt or that mistake, which gives allowance to learn the lessons that is needed for forward movement. This part of this letter is pretty much self-explanatory. And again, even I have issues with this. Even I have trouble with this. Forgiving ourselves of the things that we have done to people and the things that people have done to us is a very hard thing to do. It is a very hard thing to do because sometimes we want to fix it. Sometimes it hurts too much. Sometimes it hurts too much for us to forgive. Sometimes it hurts too much for us to forgive ourselves of the transgression that we put someone through. Sometimes I'll even say sometimes it's hard to forgive someone that hurt you. These things are hard. These are hard things to do, because when someone hurts us, especially if it's someone that we loved and we cared about, or someone that we loved and we love and we care about, it's hard to imagine that this person would hurt you or put you in a compromising position. And it's hard because now there are conflicting emotions. And it's and for a lot of us, myself included, a lot of us as men, myself included, it is easier to hold on. It is easier to hold. Sometimes it's easier to hold on to the hurt, or better yet, it's easier just to place that hurt into the further recesses of your mind and your psyche and in your heart. But eventually, something or someone something or someone will trigger that which you've buried, and it'll trigger an immediate and sometimes scary response. How do you limit how do we limit that? Again, forgiveness is not easy. Forgiveness of oneself is never an easy path to take. And I know this because that's me. That's my path. Forgiveness of oneself is never an easy path to take, but it's necessary. But it's necessary for us as men to learn those lessons that 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 pain that pain had that what's the best way that I can say this? Forgiveness of oneself is important for us because it's important for us to learn those lessons, the lessons that are underneath the pain. There are lessons in there are lessons in the pain that we brought upon ourselves as well as other people. It sounds funny. It sounds funny. It also sounds like it's probably impractical, but it's true. There are lessons in the pain we bring to ourselves as well as others. We just have to learn those. We have to excuse me, learn those lessons and apply those lessons to ourselves, because what's the use of learning the lesson if you don't apply it? What's the use of going through all that, picking up what the lesson was, and not being able to comprehend or understand the lesson that was being taught or being poked at? And like I said it in that phrase, forgiveness is not for the transgressors; it's for the people. It's for the transgressed. And you have to look at it in that manner, but also you have to look at it in the manner of that not everyone is going to forgive you for the things that you for whatever you've done to them. Not everyone's going to do that, and you have to be okay with that. You gotta be okay with that. You gotta be okay. They're If you ask someone to forgive you, they're not beholden to say I forgive you. They're not beholden to that. And they're definitely and if they and they're not beholden to that. They're not beholden to say, I forgive you. There are gonna be times when, if you've done something to somebody and you ask them to forgive you, be prepared for them to say I can't forgive you. Be prepared for that. Because again, just because you ask someone for forgiveness doesn't mean that they're beholden to say I forgive you. And it goes the same way. Just if someone asks you to forgive them, you're not beholden to say, well, I forgive you. Though in certain instances, that should be the natural way it should go. If I'm asking you to forgive me, the natural response would be, well, I forgive you. Keep in mind that not everybody's gonna jump to say I forgive you, and you have to be okay with that. You've done your part by asking that person for forgiveness, and you've asked that person for forgiveness with a sincere heart. They're not beholden to say I forgive you. Just be okay with that. And don't look at it as don't look at it as being like a death sentence or what. Don't look at it as being an end all be all of something. Don't look at it as an end all be all of something. Just look at it as that's that person's choice. That's what they choose to do. That's the path they choose to take at the moment. They're gonna be there. That's the path they choose to take at the moment. And you gotta be cool with that. You gotta be okay with that. Um, and of course it'd be nice to have somebody forgive you, but it's nice to do that. But if they choose not to, then there's not is they don't have to. You know, acceptance of the things that are good, bad, and different that have happened to us is another difficult thing that I personally have a issue, that I personally have struggled with. And I know there are brothers out there that do the same. There are certain things that with even with me that I am learning to accept that I did not accept several years back. In my grief process, I can say that I'm at an acceptance stage, a tenuous acceptance stage, but an acceptance stage nonetheless. Acceptance means that you take what is done, or what is transpired at its face value. It also means that you don't put up a fight, you don't put up a you don't present an argument. Acceptance means that we take what has been done with that has been done to us, or that we've done to people, that we've done to ourselves, that we've done to people, and that we've allowed people to do to us at face value. And we learn, we just kind of just accept it for what it is. And now there are some instances to where acceptance is not a thing. And there are some brothers out there who have been through traumatic experiences. And sometimes acceptance and forgiveness is a very long and windy and painful road. And I think when it comes to those traumatic experiences, we gotta be able to give ourselves that grace, that that moment of pause, to where we can sit back and we can just look at things and we can analyze those things. We can sit back, you know, put all these things in front of us and analyze each thing one at a time, one incident at a time, and do our best to move forward, do our best to piece it all together, find some meaning into it, whether it's a deeper meaning, or whether it's a surface level meaning, or whether it's a deeper meaning into it. Find what that meaning is, and accept it and move on. Acceptance is harder when traumatic experiences are involved. Simple fact of the matter is, those traumatic experiences are those experiences that stay with us for the longest of times, and sometimes the stain of those experiences never truly goes away. They can fade. They can fade, but yet they truly never go away. And I think with every experience, whether traumatic or not traumatic, there's always a lesson to be learned in these experiences. We just have to know, just have to figure out what the lesson is. Compartmentalization is not a good thing, because again, that puts us in a style that puts us in a silent sufferer state. And being a silent sufferer is never good. Trust me. No, I've been in that state. There's some instances right now that I still go through that state. Silent suffrage is something that, well, I don't doesn't benefit. Silent suffrage is something that I believe does not benefit anyone, whether it be male or female. And we have to learn, we have to unlearn to not be silent sufferers. And we have to learn to kind of get people in our orbit, get people who we can trust and we can depend on, who will truly, truly be open and available to listen to us when we need that ear, when we need that confidant to talk to, and at times that shoulder to cry on. Silent suffrage is never good for it's never good emotion. It's never good mentally. It's never good. It's not. It's never good emotionally. It's not good mentally, nor is it good physically. So, brothers, I want you guys. I want us to forgive. I want us to forgive ourselves. Yes, we've done egregious things, and yes, We've done egregious things to others and ourselves, but we also done egregious things to others. We need to just learn. We just need to learn to forgive ourselves of the actions that we've taken, um, accept them for what they are. Ask for forgiveness from the people that we've hurt, but also ask for forgiveness for ourselves and forgive ourselves, and move on, and move forward. Forward movement is the key to success. Forward movement is the key to success. The next part of this is this. I want to make something very clear to you, and this is something that needs to be said. You, my brother, have value that goes beyond the number of zeros that adorn your bank account. You have value beyond the make and model of the car you drive. You have value beyond the house that you own. You have value, brother. Do not let any man or woman tell you different. Too many men and women put too much value on material shit and think that a high value man is a man that has money, cars, clothes, houses, and other tangible things. How wrong they are. A high value man is a man that has honor, respect, loyalty, and fealty. A high value man has a very acute moral compass and acts in benevolence, never with malicious intent. You are valuable, brother. You are valuable. You are valuable. If someone, whether that be a man or a woman, tells you that you are not valuable, tell them people to kick rocks. Again, this is very self-explanatory, but let me break this down a little bit more. Me and my sister LHG, we did a show about value and values. We talked about this a lot. We talked about this in depth. I'm going to say this, and this is probably going to be, I'm going to say this, and there may be some women and men who are either watching this or will watch this and listen to this later on, may disagree with this, but I'm going to say this. As a man, my value goes beyond my bank account. As a man, my value goes beyond the car that I drive. As a man, my value goes beyond the house that I own, the clothes that I have, and all the other tangible things. My value goes well beyond that. I don't have to have six plus figures to be a high value man. I don't have to drive a Bentley or Benz. I don't have to drive a Bentley or Maybach or Aston Martin or whatever type of high end car to be a high value man. I don't have to have a house on the hills somewhere in California or somewhere else in the United States to be a high value man. I don't have to have those things to be a high value man. I don't have to have a lot of jewelry to be a high value man. I don't have to have all these things to be a high value man. Me, myself, I'm a high value man based upon my moral compass, my acute moral compass. I'm a high value man based upon my loyalty to people, my integrity, my dignity, my my respect, my equal respect for for every person, for every person, irrespective of their social or monetary status. I'm a I'm a high value man, regardless. And I don't have to have money to be high value. If I have respect and loyalty and fealty, and if I come with benevolence and never in maliciousness, that makes me high value. A lot of men and women are going to argue me down about this, and that's cool. But this is how I see that. I don't got to make six figures for all that, because that's because what six figures just having six figures is what having money is what money is something that we make and we spend. That shit doesn't come with that shit don't come with you when you die. And it's definitely not a crutch to be used for to try to attract somebody to you. I'm a high value man because I try to be generous with my time, generous with my efforts, generous with my gift, with my gifts. And I'm not talking about monetary gifts. I'm talking about the gifts that God has given me as an individual. Gift of writing, gift of being in front of his microphone and his camera. I try to be generous with my gifts, but I also am generous to the people that I care for, that I care and I love. I'm also a high value man because I bring of some form of value to to my I bring a, no I'm valuable to myself, but the not but I'm also a high value man because of the knowledge that I have. The knowledge that I have that I've accumulated over the years is valuable as well. That makes me high value as well, because there's value in my knowledge. There's value in my knowledge. There's value in my experiences. Those are things that I can pass on to the next person, to the next brother. Those are things that I can pass on to the person that a person that I'm romantically involved in. These are things that I most definitely can pass on to my children. These are things I can most definitely pass on to my kids and also to my grandchildren. Hard earned lessons, hard won battles. I can pass those on to the next generation, so that way they don't struggle. They don't struggle as mightily as I did to get to get to the pinnacle that they want to get to. If I can veer, my if I can veer brothers and my kids and my grandchildren off certain paths that I've taken, lead them and veer them from the paths that I've taken, and point out another path for them. That's a win for me. That makes me valuable. You know, I don't want to make what I'm about to say something that's being adversarial, and I'm not, and I won't. But if a man or a woman can't see the value, if you can't if a man or a woman can't see the value in their brother, then y'all need to go. If you can't see that, regardless, irrespective of what he makes, what he owns, if you can't see this person has value, you got to go. Every human being, every man has value. And that value isn't always monetary or material. Value is something that we all place on things and people. And it's sad to say we do it a lot. We do it a lot. Especially us as black men and women. We put a value on everything. If you don't got this and you don't got that, then you can't come to me. If you don't make such and such, you don't make such and such type money, you can't come to me. If you don't drive such and such car, you can't come to me. If you're not working in such and such industry, you can't come to me. If you don't own a house in the hills of Los Angeles or Calabasas, you can't come to me. And I find that crazy, and I also find it weird. And I find it weird because what do you get? What's the equation? What do you get when all that value goes away? What do you get when that monetary stuff, that monetary and that material and material? What happened? Let me stop because I'm stumbling over my words. What do you get when all that those materialistic tangible values go away? You still have the person, and that person has to have some sort of values. And you got with this person, you get with a person, you got with this person because they had money, they had cars, they had jewelry, they had clothes, they had this nice house somewhere. And then when all that goes away, and now what are you stuck with? You stuck with a person. You probably you end up being stuck with a person that whose values may not mirror your own. Maybe may not mirror your own. Maybe opposite from your is probably going to be not going to mirror your own. That person may not be that person may not be respectful. That person may not be loyal. That person may not treat you with dignity and honor and with fealty. So what are you left with? You go right back to the material tangible stuff. Well, let me tell you. The values of honor, loyalty, fealty, respect, benevolence, those are tangible values too. Those are also tangible values. Let's not forget that. Let's not get that twisted. If a person don't value you, man, tell them to go. Because if you're not gonna value me when I'm low, when I'm not up, you damn sure not gonna value me when I'm up. Let's just put it like this: if you can't value me when I'm down, you damn sure not gonna value me when I'm up. Two more, y'all. Two more. Three more, should I say? Never be ashamed of who you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a human being that has the same human experience as everyone else. You are uniquely different, and you are an uniquely different and wonderfully made person who can and who can and will attract the right people who will love, respect, care, and honor you, bro. You are not a failure. So please get that out of your mind. Just because something does not work out does not automatically designate it as a failure, nor does that designate you as a failure. Please eliminate that thought. A lot of us, myself included, sometimes we're ashamed of who we are. And we're ashamed of who we are because of our experiences, because of the things that we've endured, the things that we've experienced, and the things that we've gone through. I'll admit, I'll put this out on Front Street right now. I was ashamed of who I was because of my experiences with domestic violence. Being on both sides of that, being on both sides of that fence as the abuser and the abused, it messed with me. It made me made me question, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I why do things why am I like this? Why do things have to be like this? Why did things happen to me the way that they happened? You know, and I think most of the times in most cases, and that, when I say most, I mean pretty much like 80 to 85% of the time, we as men are treated as being we as men are treated sometimes less than sub or treated in a subhuman manner, as if we don't live the same human experience as our female counterparts. Newsflash, ladies, we live the same human experience as you do. The same human experience. So the things that you guys experience, we experience the same thing, except differently. But we're living the same human experience. Each one of us, brothers, each one of us is a uniquely different and we are uniquely different and wonderfully made person. God made each one of us men uniquely different. The one uniquely different and wonderful, and we are wonderfully made. Now this doesn't diminish. I'm not saying this to diminish females, because females are uniquely different and wonderfully made too. But right now, my focus is on my brothers. We are uniquely different and wonderfully made people. God made sure of that. God made sure that we were wonderfully made. But God also made sure that we were uniquely different. Each one of us is different in how we approach things. Each one of us is different in how we look at things. Each one of us is different in our perspectives of how we view things. We're uniquely different because God intended that for us. Never wanted any of us to be cookie cutter. If we were all cookie cutter, that would be a very boring existence. We're wonderfully made because, again, God made us. We are as men and as well. I'm going to say this because this is what I'm going to say is specifically for both men and women. And I want us as men and women to truly understand this. God made it, and this is a wonderful thing to me. God made it so that we are the whole result, the whole of two halves. Half one half of a man, one half of a woman. So we are the result of two halves, a mother and a father. And it's a wonderful thing for us to be made, be a wonderfully made person. And we're uniquely different because we're uniquely different because of each half is different. And yes, we can and we will attract the right folk. We can and will attract the right folks who will be able to love, respect, care, and honor us. That's my word. I mean, because sometimes we attract the wrong people who disrespect us, who disrespect us, who dishonor us, who mistreat us, who mishandle us. Even though I've always said this about the word handle. You don't handle a human being. You handle an inanimate object. You don't handle a person. But we put that word out so much as far as how we interact with people. You just mishandle just sounds like mishandle is a word. I mean, the word that we use as far as in our interpersonal relationships. But we will attract we will attract those right people. And those right people will show us love, honor, respect, care, dignity, fealty, loyalty, grace. This one is something that I deal with a lot. I've always told myself that in certain things that didn't go right, I was always a failure. Even I have trouble with getting that out of my mind. And just because whatever we've done or we plan to do didn't work out the way we wanted it to, it doesn't automatically designate it as a failure. Nor does it designate us as a whole as failures, even though in our mind we failed. But failure is the lesson that we learn every time we try something. Failure is that hard-earned lesson learned in trying something and not readily succeeding at it. Failure is something that always comes before success, because if we were successful off the get-go, there wouldn't be any lessons learned. Failure is something that always precedes success. Because if we didn't fail, there wouldn't be any lessons for us to gather. There wouldn't be any lessons for us to learn. There wouldn't be any information for us to gather. So just because something doesn't work out doesn't designate it as a failure. And just because something that you planned and strategized on doesn't work out doesn't automatically designate you as a failure. What it does, however, there should be lessons in that. There should be abject lessons in that. And failure is the greatest teacher. It teaches us how to continue. It teaches us how to learn the lesson, how to learn and readjust and regroup and rebuild. It also teaches us to analyze. It also teaches us to strategize, analyze better, strategize better, regroup, rebuild. There's nothing regroup, rebuild, and in some instances retreat. There's nothing wrong with retreating. There's nothing wrong with regrouping. There's nothing wrong with rebuilding. There's nothing wrong with strategizing. There's nothing wrong with looking at something that did not succeed from a different perspective or from a different viewpoint. Maybe this needs to be attacked. Maybe what I'm doing is wrong and it needs to be is not the way that I should look at it. Maybe I need to look at it from a different perspective. Or maybe I need to attack it from a different angle. So look at failure as a lesson, as a lesson learned, and apply that lesson to the next attempt. Two more. Peace is something we as men struggle to attain, and we find it even more difficult to maintain due to the nature of how the world treats us. Attaining peace is more than just an inside job, and it requires us to work at it 24/7, 365. It requires us to continuously work at it, as there are people who will constantly try to interrupt your peace. So be ready to deal with those folks accordingly. Peace isn't about, so let me just put it like this. Peace isn't about having a woman be submissive and having her, be quiet and things of that nature. That's one thing I'm gonna say right off the top. Peace is a state of mind. It's also a state of being. But it's something that we as men struggle to attain. And it's difficult to maintain. And that's based on that's based on the nature of how the world looks at us, how the world treats us, how the world views us. We don't find peace because some of us as men feel like we're expendable. We don't find peace because some of us as men feel like we're disposable, or that we're just cannon fodder, or we're just the next wave of cannon fodder waiting to be eliminated for the quote unquote better person to come around, or what have you. We don't find peace because sometimes we don't actively pursue peace. And it's more than just mindfulness and breathing and avoiding conflicts and all those things. Again, peace is something that is it's more than just a word. It's not just a state of mind, it's also a state of being. And attaining peace is more than just an inside job. It's an outside job as well. It's both. It's more of an inside job than it is an outside job. And what I mean by an inside job is something that we have to do internally. We have to find ways to internally be at peace. And whether that's being at peace with how the world views us, how the world treats us, it's also being at peace with the things that you can and cannot control. It's also being at peace with the things you can and cannot change. It's also having that wisdom to know what it is that you can and you can't change. Peace is just knowing that the only person that you can change and you can control and the only person that you can change and you can control is you. You or you are in control of you're in control of your responses. You're in control of your actions. Attaining peace isn't always just being about this isn't to me peace isn't always about pacifism. Though a lot of us liken peace to pacifism. It's not just pacifism. Peace can also mean dealing with folks accordingly. Dealing with folks as dealing with folks accordingly, dealing with folks as they treat you, dealing with situations as they arise. Not peace isn't all peace isn't about just just laying down and just doing whatever. Peace also means that you can peace also you mean, and I'm gonna say this, and a lot of people are gonna be mad at me about this, but I'm gonna say it. Peace is also employing force when necessary. Notice I didn't use the other word. It's about employing force when necessary, and employing only the necessary force to resolve a situation. A peaceful person isn't a forcible person. A peaceful person always looks for the non-combative route, the non-confrontational route. Sometimes confrontation and conflict and combat cannot be avoided. And yes, that means some people in peace. Yes, that means you should walk away, but at the same time, peace also means you have the right to defend yourself. And no, that's not me saying that peace always involves those types of responses. Those responses are warranted when the situation calls for it. If there's no other recourse or no other course of action, then of course you have a right to defend yourself. But peace is more than just that part of it. It also means being at peace with who you are as a person. Peace and being at peace with who you are as a person. Being at peace with the things you've done as a person. To me, peace is the ultimate acceptance of who we are as a peace. To me, peace is the ultimate acceptance of who we are, the ultimate acceptance of who we are, accepting the sum total of who we are. We don't, like I said, most of us as men, we don't attain peace because we don't actively pursue it. And I think for a lot of us as men, we need to start actively pursuing peace, because having peace, when we have peace, all's not going to always be right. All's not going to always be right with the world. Let's just put that out there right now. All ain't going to be right with the world when we attain peace. When we can be peaceful and there can be all kind of hell and chaos going around us. But being at peace means that being at peace means that we can respond in a manner that is not combative, in a manner that is thoughtful. It also means that we can respond appropriate to the situation. We can respond intelligently. But being at peace doesn't being at peace, I can't say that it costs anything, because it costs greatly. Being at peace with yourself does have a cost attached to it. It means in some instances that you give up status, that you give up people, and that you give up things to have some form of peace of mind. Peace of mind is something that is amazing, first and foremost, Peace of mind is something that is amazing. And I think when a lot of us when we try that shoe on, when we try that shoe on, and initially that shoe doesn't fit because, and I'll say this, and I'll say this for myself, and this probably could be the thought process of some men. Sometimes when we try that shoe on, it doesn't fit, and it doesn't fit because sometimes we feel that we don't deserve that peace, or that we're not worthy of that peace. We're not worthy of that level of that peace. No, brother. Let me rephrase that. Let me put that. Let me tell you something different. You are worthy of that peace. You can have that peace. Again, like I said, a lot of us as men we don't truly attain peace because we don't actively pursue it. Like I said, peace of mind is a wonderful thing. Peace of mind is a wonderful thing once you experience it, and once you attain it, you'll do whatever you'll do what you have to protect it, and to protect it and maintain it. So we have to actively pursue peace to attain it, but also at the same time we have to do what we need to do to maintain it. Peace isn't about just isn't about pacifism, because pacifism is a non-violent route. To me, peace is a peaceful person is someone that enjoys being at peace, but also at the same time is ready to respond to a threat if need be. They don't have to, but they can if need be. And it's not always about not wanting to run away from a fight. It's understanding that you need to employ different ways of avoiding conflict. And then when conflict is the last resort, then you respond. So, it's more than just external. It's also an inside job, and we have to continuously work on being peaceful within ourselves. It starts with being peaceful within ourselves, because within ourselves there's all kind of chaos and hell going on, and we have to learn to quiet that part of us down first to be peaceful, because I don't think you can explore. I don't think you can put out outer peace until you have experienced, or at least till you've experienced inner peace. So so with that, it works from the inside out. We got to be able to be peaceful in our mind, be peaceful in our inside, in our inner man. Our inner man. I always talk about the concept of the little. I always talk about the concept of the little boy that dwells in each and every one of us as men. And I look at that as being a true thing, because in each and every one of us, there is a little boy that dwells within us. And that little boy has been through so much stuff. And there's so much hell and torment down that road. And a lot of that hell and torment has come because we haven't went back inside and faced that little boy. And I'm gonna do a podcast. I'm gonna do a show about that really, really soon. But peace is inside and out. Peace is excuse me. Peace is an inside job first, an outside job second. Last one, good people. Lastly, but most certainly not leastly, be unapologetically you. There's nothing wrong with being who you are. Embrace it. This is something that is very, very self-explanatory, but there's nothing wrong with being unapologetically who you are. You don't have to, you don't have to apologize for being who you are. Some of us as men apologize for who we are, apologize for who we are because some people that we love and care about, or people that love that we loved or cared about at one point, viewed it as something different. In the past, I always had to apologize for being. I always had to apologize for being sensitive, for always displaying my emotions. I always had to apologize for that because there are people who made it seem like that would it would to display those things, or to display those things, or to be that type of man was not a good look, or was looked at as something as being quote unquote soft. And I had to constantly apologize. I had to constantly apologize for that. I had to apologize for displaying my emotions. I had to just apologize for, you know, if I felt a certain way about something, and I expressed that thought. I had to apologize for that, because in some instances it made certain people feel uncomfortable, or they thought that I wasn't a man because I wasn't a man because I displayed my emotions, or that I am emotional, and that I am emotional, or that I'm very much in tune, or I very much try to be in tune with my emotions. I've had to apologize for that. I had to say I'm sorry. That's how I am. And in a way, it brought about a certain complex, and it made me question myself at times. Well, what's wrong with me? Is there something? Am I not supposed to be this? Am I supposed to respond this way to these things? Am I not supposed to feel like this towards this particular thing? Was I not supposed to was I not supposed to shed tears at my son's funeral? Was I not supposed to shed tears at my uncle, or my grandmother's, or my my but my uncle, my sister, my paternal and maternal grandmother's funerals? Was I not supposed to do that? Was I not supposed to shed tears that was I supposed to shed tears that I lost a good friend, that I lost someone that I considered a brother? Was I not supposed to shed tears in that manner? Was I not supposed to feel in that manner? Am I not supposed to feel? Am I not supposed to, feel? Am I not supposed to feel despondent? Am I not supposed to feel depressed? Am I not supposed to feel these things? Society says no. Society at large says no. As a man, you're not supposed to feel none of that shit. You supposed to just let that shit, bro. You supposed to just let that shit do what it do, and brush it off your shoulders for a moment, and keep it pushing. I say no. I say no. That's a lie from the fiery pits of hell, and I'll say that. And I'll scream that 20 times. I'll say that 100 times, 1,000 times. That's a lie. Be unapologetically who you are, but also at the same time. But I will also caution. I will also temper this. I'll also temper this with caution. I'm going to temper this with this word of caution. Sometimes being unapologetically, you can make other people uneasy. And you have to be prepared for that part of it. Be who you are. Be bold. Be bold. Be bold. Um be proud. Be be vibrant. Be larger than life. Be all these things. Be all these things and more. But in the same instance, be aware. Be aware that some of those things that you are can cause uneasiness or a sense of uncomfortability to other people. Just be aware. Just be aware of that. In closing, brother, I hope that you got something out of this letter, and I hope that there was something you could take away from these words of love. Trust. The words that I've written speak to my own experiences as well. And trust me, I do my best to heed these words too. Brother, I love you to life and I love you to live. I love you to I love you to life and I love you to live this life vibrantly, proudly. More importantly, I want you to live it fully. May abundance overflow your cup and may your days be happy, healthy, and productive days. This is the love letter. This is the love letter I wrote to my brothers. It is a reflection of just my reflection of not only what and how I feel towards my brothers. Not again, not just my blood brothers. Not only the brothers that I share that familiar that family bond with, but the brothers that are outside of that family bond. There are a lot of brothers that are out that I won't say a lot, but there are a few brothers that I have bonds with outside of family. And that message goes to not only those brothers, but also to brothers around the world, brothers in brothers in different countries and different countries, different nations. Anybody who will be hearing this and watching this later, it goes to you. These are words of love. These are words of love, adoration, joy, admiration, but most importantly, they're words of respect. I respect each and every last one of you, one of my brothers. I respect you. I respect you. And I want you to know that this love letter also not only speaks those words, but also speak I'm all but these this love letter also speaks as a this love letter also serves as a cheer section for you, as a cheering section for you. I'm cheering you on. I'm cheering for your success. I'm cheering for you. I'm cheering for you when you attain that peace. I'm cheering for you when you are unapologetically you. I'm cheering for that. And I wrote this letter because honestly speaking, just being very honest at this point, we as men, especially black men, we need to encourage each other more. We most definitely need to encourage each other more. There's a shortage of black men that encourage other brothers, and we need to do more of that. We need to do more of that. And with that being said, this is going to conclude this particular show tonight. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight, everybody um, who watched it on YouTube, who watched on Facebook. This particular podcast will be out on Spotify shortly. Um, I want you guys to take this. I want you guys to take this podcast, and I want you to share this. I want you to share this particular show with. And I say that I'm going to say this to specifically to my sisters. Sisters, I want you to take this podcast. I want you to share this podcast with a brother that you know. This brother could be this brother could be this man, this brother could be your husband, could be a relative. It could be a good friend. It could be it could be anything. It could be anybody. It could be any brother that you know that's in your circle of influence. It could be a brother that's outside of your circle of influence. And I want you to let them see let them see or hear this podcast. And because I believe it's important that we that we write these love letters to our brothers and sisters, because it's important. They need to know. They need to know. My brothers need to know that there's another man out here that sees you, that feels you, that knows what you've been going through, knows of some of the experiences that you've experienced. And but also there's a brother out here that also we need to know that there's brothers out here who care, who want to speak life into and who wants to speak life into each other, because sometimes that's all we have, and that's all we can get at the time. Someone to speak life into us when we can't do it for ourselves. Someone to encourage us when there are times where we can encourage ourselves. And brothers, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to take this podcast. I want you to take it to a brother that you know, whether it be a blood relative, or someone that's in your circle of influence, or someone that's even not in your circle of influence. And I want you to listen. I want you to have them listen to it. We got to look out. We got to look out for each other, man. We got to. Again, thank you guys for tuning in with us tonight. Continue to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're also we're also on X. We also have a fan base page. Our fan base site. Fan base will be on. I will get that to you guys here in the next couple of weeks. Also, we're also on Patreon. So and I'm working on trying to get some things set up with that Patreon. And set up some subscriptions for that Patreon, so that way those who follow us can be more in tune and more informed. Plan on doing some content just for Patreon, so that way for those who become patrons can take a look at that exclusive content. But yeah. This is a show that I enjoy doing. Not to say that I don't enjoy all of them, but I enjoy this. I enjoy this one a lot, because it gives me that chance. It gives me an opportunity to speak to my brothers specifically. And I know that there's sisters out there that's watching, and I know that you guys have gleaned some things from this as well. But as I always like to say when I conclude these shows, number one, take care of each other. Number two, loving each other. Last but not least, we all know it's a crazy world out here, and we all know that things can happen in the drop of a hat. So most importantly, y'all be safe out here. Please be safe out here. If you are in inclement weather, such as snow, or if you're in inclement weather, I know a lot of the Southeast got hit with a lot of snow. Got hit with snow over the last day or so. Man, you guys do whatever you guys can to be safe out there. Drive safely. If there's still snow on the ground where you live, be alert, be aware, and can be safe out there. I love y'all to life. I love y'all to live. Y'all just do what y'all do, and y'all keep it moving, keep it pushing. I'm gonna see you. I'm most definitely gonna see you guys. Gonna see you guys in the next one. Love you.